Hello everyone and welcome to Adam Shah Weekly. In this video, I'm going to talk about student loans. As an instructor, I meet with a lot of my students who have a lot of student loans. And when I graduated back in 2005, I didn't really graduate with any debt. It was zero debt, everything I paid. So how was that even possible? Now you might be wondering, oh, 2005, the tuition might cost like $200. No, it was not $200. It was actually a lot. It was equivalent to the amount that the institution students are paying at this time in 2020 because I was an international student. So how did I all manage those student loans? Well, I never even took student loans. I had to work. So in this video, I'm going to talk about those things. Now, some of those things may not apply to you, but some might apply to you. So hopefully, if you will be able to get 1 or 2 points, you can maybe get a little bit save money for your student loans and repay the amount or save a lot of money. So hopefully you will find it helpful. So let's get started. All right, so the first thing is community college. Most probably, if you're going to university, that's a 4-year plan. Now, I'm not talking about doctors or you want to become like a dentist. No, most probably you have to take a student loan for those things. I'm talking about if you want to become an engineer, maybe a chemical engineer, you want to do a business degree and all those kind of things. You can go to community college for the first 2 years and get all of those other courses out. These courses include English 1 and English 2, Government 1 and 2, physics, chemistry courses, mathematics, political science, history. So all of those courses, geology, astronomy, all of those required courses that you have to take, you can simply go to any community college and simply take those courses. And all of those courses will be transferred 100% to your respective university. That's exactly what I did. I mean, I took few hours in the actual university that was required, like 3 hours or something. And in the community college, I would take like 9 hours to make a total of 12 hours for my international status. So I had to do those kind of things. And obviously when I'm taking 9 credit hours in a community college, that will cost way less than the 3 credit hours that I'm taking over there at the actual university. So if you're working towards a 4-year degree, you can always go to a community college and get those courses out of the way. And those courses will cost a lot less in a community college as compared to a university. The other thing that you should look into is something called CLEP, C-L-E-P. I personally have never done CLEP because of my international status. I have to go to an actual physical class or online class. But CLEP is an exam that you can take for less than $100, and you only need to get a C grade to pass that exam. And once you pass that exam, you get the credit for it. So some of my friends who were not international students took the CLEP and they passed. And CLEP they usually do for classes like history, classes that are not really related to your major. So government 1 and 2, history 1 and 2, English, and all of those things, pre-algebra or something like that, college algebra. So all of those things you can CLEP out. So CLEP is even less than going to the community college, provided that you pass the exam. And the exam costs like less than $100. But obviously, this is in Texas. I don't know what the equivalent of this will be in your state or your city. So you definitely have to do some research that if they have some program related or kind of like CLEP. Now, when I came over here, I obviously didn't have anyone, so I had to live near campus, but not on campus, because the on-campus accommodation, which was provided by the university dorms and all those hostels, super expensive. I cannot really afford it. But I was kind of like on the very corner of the university, just at the end of the edge of the university, I find an apartment and share with a person. Now, provided it was a very, very shady kind of apartments that I had to live in, not a good area to live in, but in the end, I end up saving a lot of money. So my suggestion for you would be to find those kind of maybe apartments that are not within on-campus property, but they are very near the on-campus. So you can get, it's like a third party. So you can go to those apartments, share with a room with the person, and you can pay considerably less as compared to if you're like 100 feet in to the actual university property, which will be a lot more. From 2002 till 2000, even 2004 or late 2004 or early 2005, I didn't really have a car because I didn't really have any money. So I had to use public transportation, which is horrible in Houston. I mean, if you have to go from one place to other, and that's like literally 2 miles, that's a 45-minute ride. So, but I had to because I didn't really have any money. So if you are living in a city where there is a good public transportation, so maybe it's a good idea to use those public transportation. If you live in a city where it's not good public transportation, then, well, you'll have to time your classes in such a way that you just reach there in the morning and then you just go at night. So one of my friends, he used to do, international student, my friend, he used to do a 3-hour trip from his aunt's house to the University of Houston. 3 hours one way, 3 hours back, just to save money because he didn't really have any money to live on his own apartment. But in the end, I think he saved a lot of money. He was doing his homework and everything in the bus. So he was basically living in the public transportation system. He was living in the bus most of the time because of the, it's not really the distance, it was like 30 miles or so, but because of just the feature of the public transportation, just like how it is in Houston. So try to find out if the public transportation, if you're living with your parents, try to find out how much time it will take for you to go from point A to point B using public transportation, so you don't really have to pay for the car, pay for the insurance of the car, pay for the parking, which is insanely expensive. So all of those things, you can save a lot of money. Cooking at home, yeah, when I was living in an apartment, I was cooking by myself. It was one of the worst foods you can ever taste, but I had to survive that way. I'm a very horrible cook, and yes, that became really clear when I was living in the apartment near the university. When I was going to the university, it was just horrendous food that I used to just take, but I couldn't afford a $20 pizza at that time, so I would just buy some actual rice and beans and these kind of things, and I would just cook them, eat them, and they taste horrible, by the way. I mean, if you are a good cook, then thumbs up to you, and you should definitely cook at home, at your apartment, or maybe even if your parents are in the same region, you can ask them. Maybe they will be willing to cook for you for for the whole week. Anything can happen in this case. Well, in 2000, from 2002 to 2005, there was no iPhone, right? But there was different, like iPod Touch and these kind of things were already there. And I was always surprised to see students who were actually buying these products, which are expensive, $300 products. And I was always like, how can you afford $300 products? You're a student, you're not supposed to have these things, but they were buying those things. So if you can get a phone for free from someone, from your parents or from someone, then that's fine. If don't, then well, maybe try to buy a very used phone that you can get it for very cheap, and don't pay like crazy amount for LTE and all those kind of things. Try to just survive 4 years without paying a lot of money. So that's very important. All right, so this is a little bit controversial, right? Ask professor for books. Books are expensive, hundreds and hundreds of dollars for books. What if you just ask your professor that, hey, if you have a copy, can I borrow it? I did. The professor said, no, you cannot borrow my book. So I was denied. But, my brother, who went to the same university, he asked a professor, different professor, by the way, and his professor was like, yeah, you can borrow it, and just make sure to return me at the end of the semester. Most probably the professor had some, other books lying around or different copies just lying around, and he just gave it to my brother. So it was a success. But you have to ask your professor. Just tell him you cannot afford it and you need to, get the books. And maybe it's a 50-50% shot. If you never ask, you will never know. So try to take that shot. Try to ask, and maybe you will get hundreds of dollars of books for free. You can also form some sort of a group study and save on the books, meaning if a book costs $100 and you have 5 people, then 100 divided by 5, everybody pays like $20, and you will have a book. And then whenever you want to study for history or whatever, then you just get together and read from the same book. So that will definitely save you hundreds of dollars over the long term. I never really applied for scholarship because for international students, there are not many scholarships available anyway. But I would say that I've read that there are billions and billions of dollars of scholarships available which are just not being applied. So try to find out what those scholarships are and apply for those scholarships. Working is very, very important. Just because you're going to school doesn't mean that it's all like fun and games. I mean, you should be working at least part-time in spring and fall. I always did. I always was working in spring and fall as part-time, sometimes even a little bit more hours, so that I can get the money for tuition from future semesters. And it came out really, really handy. For summer, I usually, or mostly, pretty much always actually, skip summer. I never took any classes in summer because I couldn't afford it. In summer, I just worked like crazy. So if you want, you can also skip the summer schedule and just work so that you have enough money after the summer to pay for the fall. And that is pretty much it. Maybe you will get some information from this, maybe not, maybe things are different now. But I still believe that if you have the desire of paying off your student loan, not even taking student loans, just desire of working and paying the tuition yourself, in certain scenarios it is possible. Now, obviously, if you're becoming a lawyer or a dentist and a doctor, that's a different story. But I mean, when you do become a lawyer, then you can obviously pay off the amount that you spend in your loans. But for all the other degrees, like psychology, English literature, technology, computer science, other stuff, you definitely can work through and pay off those things and apply for scholarships and CLEP and all of those things that I was not able to do. You can do it. I was not able to CLEP. You can do the CLEP. You can pass all of those courses. Community college. Go to community college for the first 2 years and then transfer those credits to the university, right? In the end, it's up to you. If you are going to college or university for fun and only for fun, then keep in mind that fun will become a student loan with a lot of interest, a lot of debt. If you are going there to seek knowledge and to learn about things, then that's a completely different path. You will have to work very, very hard. I don't remember any time in my 4 years of college that I was not working. I cannot recall any moment in time. I never stopped for anything that, oh, there's a concert going on, let's go to the concert and have fun. No, I was always working, I was always doing something. This did produce just a horrendous experience for college for me, but in the end, when I look at it now, I graduated 2005 with zero debt. I'm happy of my choices. So make sure that you're also happy with your choices.